Welcome back everyone to the fields of Perthshire. We are back out again. 3 of us today. We've got Sneaky Pete in the distance there, and off to my left we've got Martin. So we're back on this stubble field, just the 3 of us. We're all on the XP Goldmax Power V4, and this is the field that Martin and I finished on the other day. We managed 10 coins between us and I got 6, and all 6 of mine came from this field. Martin turned up that lovely Turner or 2p from Charles II, which dated from 1625 to 1649. So fingers crossed that there is more to be had. Let's see how we get on. First signal for me sounded a bit ropey. It sounded like big deep iron. And 12 inches down we've got a big, what are they called, CCRs? I keep hearing Cleggy call them. I just call them big lumps of iron. So I'm in an area that's got a lot of iron signals. And that's quite solid, but I've got a funny feeling it might be big iron, but let's see. And I was right, just under the surface. Looks like it's probably off a tractor, some sort of, I don't know, a little hubcap or something. Now Pete is also on the iron. He's got himself a tow ball off the back of a tractor. So well done Pete. There's a good kilogram of iron there in that. As per usual, Martin is the first one to strike, well, not gold, but coinage and lead. So he's got himself a musket ball on the left hand side, fired from a percussion or a flintlock musket, and on the right hand side he's got himself a coin, but it's toasted. There's no detail on it at all, but it looks like it's going to be probably William and Mary or an early Georgian, George the First, George the Second. So that'll put it somewhere between sort of 1688 and into the beginning of the 1700s. His musket ball, the first firearms were recorded in Scotland in the 1380s. But I suspect that's probably from the 16 or the 1700s. It's a start. Okay, Pete's got himself a coin ball. Is it a ring pull coin ball? It's... Oh! At last, I have my first diggable, decent signal. Consistent tone in both directions. I don't think it's going to be a coin, maybe lead. But let's see. Okay, we're out the hole, trying my best to shelter the camera from the wind. Oh, ta-da! It looks like it is lead. And it looks like a musket ball. And it is a musket ball. Perfectly round. I suspect that has not been fired. That might have actually been dropped by someone. If it has been fired, then it's gone straight into very soft mud because it's not misshaped at all. So Marty obviously has already had a musket ball. His was a bit smaller. This is pretty solid. You can imagine that hitting you at 800 feet per second. That would make a very big hole in you. So the first firearms were recorded in Scotland in 1380, way back in the 12th century. But they didn't really kick in and become popular in Scotland until the beginning to the middle of the 1400s. Probably the most famous person who was interested in firearms in Scotland was King James II. He loved firearms. He was obsessed with cannons, and ultimately that cost him his life because in 1460 he laid siege to Roxburgh Castle, which is in the Scottish borders. At the time was held by the English, and one of his cannons exploded. It blew up, and a large piece of shrapnel, if I remember right, severed his main artery in his leg, and he died within seconds. So there you go, don't play with firearms. But that's probably date wise, I'm guessing that's probably 1617 into the 1800s. They pretty much went out of use by the middle of the 1800s, replaced by cartridge bullets. We've got another good one. Oh, could it be a coin? So look at that. Look how wee that is. That must be one of the smallest buttons that I've ever found, and it's intact. I mean, child's button, but even then it would be an adult that would have to probably do it up. Maybe it's off a cuff link or something like that. But it is teeny tiny, and at a depth of about 6 inches, so I'm going nice and slowly, and it helps that the farmer's cut this field with his topper, because we can literally scrape the surface with the metal detectors. So there we go. Date wise, I don't know, I would guess that's probably going to be 1700s, maybe into the early 1800s. That's a cracking little button. Well, we've given up on that last field. The signals are few and far between, so we've decided to come over to a new field. Well, not a new field, but a field we've been in before. The last time we were in here, you might remember, it was all furrows. Previously it was potatoes. And to jog your memory, Fletch found a huge silver coin, the biggest silver coin I've ever seen, and it was from Brazil. It dated to sometime in the early 1800s, and I think it was 1,000 real or real Brazilian silver coin. So how on earth it ended up in rural Perthshire from Brazil, we'll never know, but clearly it must have changed hands just as silver currency, because it weighed pretty much 1 ounce. 1 ounce of solid silver. And Martin also found his sword hilt, his basket sword hilt, in this field. So it's been ploughed recently and it's a lot easier to detect on, although it's soft to walk on. So let's see if we can turn up any other finds. Well, I am very surprised at that. Very shallow, not a good signal at all. I thought, I'll take a spadefill out and see what happens. It must have been right on the surface, and there we go. I think we've got our first coin. I can only assume that that must have been sitting on its edge, because that would have been a stonking signal otherwise. So well done to the old XP for struggling, or for picking that one out. Right, we'll give this a wee rub-a-dub on the jumper and the trousers, see if we can get some detail, but it looks like it's going to be Georgian to me. Well, even the bendy thumb can't save this one, but I can just make out, I think, a big head looking to the right hand side, and I think it's going to be a George III halfpenny. So that puts it sometime between 1760 and 1820. As mentioned the other day, George III, famous for losing his mind and losing the American colonies. He lost his mind. It was either pernicious anemia, or it was a disease called, I think it's pyphoria, is believed to have been the cause. So there we go. It's been pretty quiet for the last 20 minutes. All I've had is, I've entered an area, there seems to be a lot of coke or charcoal, which gives off a magnetic signal. This signal here though, doesn't sound like charcoal, but famous last words. Let's see what we get. Well, just shows you what I know, because it is. It's a hot rock, big piece of magnetised, or whatever the terminology is. It's basically a piece of charcoal or slag, or remnants of metal working or something, and it gives off a metal signal. It was literally right on the surface. I just saw it popping out at this corner, so not to be. So is this going to be another outtake? Sounds better than the last one, but I said that last time, so let's see. Well, it's not a bit of coke. It looks like it's going to be a crimped bottle top. You see that there? And it is. It is a good old-fashioned crimped bottle top. Don't see any name or any decoration on it. Nope, just a plain one. So, oh well, probably going to be sometime between the sort of 1850s and 1950s. On to the next. Not a great signal again, but I think we have got something a little bit old. I think that is a pewter spoon handle. It's got a bit of corrosion attached to it. See if it's a sort of shiny silvery colour, quite heavy. So I think that is a pewter spoon or spoon handle. Probably got a bit of age to it. It's probably going to be 1700s, 1600s. Could even be a little bit earlier than that, but would have been better if it was whole, but then it probably wouldn't have been thrown in a field if it was whole. Oh well. Right, I reckon we've got a good one here. A nice coin, maybe. Certainly a banging signal. Let's see what we get. It came out on the third spadeful. Let's see if we can track her down. Nope. 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 It's just one of these ones it is. It's picking up everything. Aha! Now that, ladies and gents, looks like it could be a lead seal. And we have got writing. So that is definitely going to be a lead seal. Excellent, haven't had one of these for a while. Let's see what it looks like cleaned up. It is in Russian, as they normally are. You can see where there would have been string or ribbon going through there to tie it on to bales of flax. And look at that, 1878. It's quite a late one. So this is a bag seal or a flax seal. So this would have been attached to bales of flax that were brought over from the Baltic states to be milled in Perthshire into linen in the milling industry, which was really big all the way up until about the start of the First World War, or the end of the First World War. Most of them started to close down into the 1940s, into the 1950s. So a nice piece of social history, and we get lots of these because where I'm metal detecting now, there used to be a linen mill about 100 metres away. So they've just pulled these off and chucked them into the field with all the rubbish. Excellent.